What is up, guys? Aiden Smith here with Joel Mercado. We got a special guest on the Paint Your Path podcast. We have Ryan Pettis, my man out from Minnesota. How's it going, bro?
Good, Aiden. Thank you so much for having me here today. And Joel, I'm looking forward to this.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah, Ryan, he's going to tell us a little bit about his background, but he's an absolute crusher. My man is how old?
Just turned 20 a couple days ago.
20?
Yeah.
That's wild, bro. Running a 7-figure operation, and he has a super interesting story because he is competing against some of the top guys in the industry, and we'll talk a lot about that. But yeah, this is very interesting. This will be a really good one, so I'm excited.
Awesome, man. So Ryan, tell us what got you started into the business you're in right now.
Painting. Yeah. So my great uncle was a painter for about 40 years, and he had his own painting company, and he did very well. He had a bunch of crews going, and my brother at the time, I was 15 at the time, and it was the summer, and I was looking to make some more cash, and my brother needed a job, and my grandpa was like, "Hey, go work with Uncle Al and just start painting, start making some more money." And at the time, my Uncle Al, he said, we'll work 9 to 3 and you'll get $100 no matter what. Like if we finish early, great, you still get $100. And I was like, dude, $100 and working 9 to 3, like out at 15, I was living life, man.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I did that for a summer, and then COVID hit, and we were only doing a couple interior projects, and people started saying like, thanks for showing up, thanks for being here, thanks for doing a good job. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, why are people thanking me for doing my job? And I didn't realize that the contracting space, that there was such a gap between like professionals and people that, don't show up, don't do a good job. And I looked at my brother and I was like, dude, like, and I remember this too. We did a project. We worked for a couple hours and we made $100. And I remember going out to the car with my brother and I was like, hey, we just made $100, but what is the boss making to be able to like afford that? And we kind of looked at each other. We're like, dude, we could start a business. And we tried to do it together a couple months later. And my brother he was like, it's not really for me. He started doing some HVAC stuff. So I kind of took it on myself. I just turned 16. It was about this time, about 4 years ago, was when I started, November. And when I turned 16, kind of that 15 range, and just kind of started off and started working with my great uncle whenever he got a job. He was more kind of the west side of the cities, and started working with him. And then I'm more south side of the cities. So when he got a job, I go work with him. I got a job, he'd come work with me. And we did that for probably about 3 years up until earlier this year is kind of a little bit how it got started and whatnot.
But when you first started your business, I first picked up a brush, basically. At 16, I was just picking up a brush. You were like, I'm going all in. I'm starting my shit.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It just shows like how mature you are, though, for your age. And, I think you could compete with any guy out there, as far as kind of your business acumen and just your coachability, right? Like me and Joel have worked with you in certain capacities, and we both see that in you. And you're also getting mentored, like I said, by some of the biggest and best in the industry. So that plays a huge role. What would you say about like the person that kind of instilled that entrepreneurship into you, or did you always have that kind of growing up?
A lot of people say like they don't have it, or maybe they do, but I would say for me, I kind of always knew in a way. Ever since I was younger, like I was, we had a lemonade stand. We would go to the baseball fields when there was a big tournament. We would sell pop, and pop and chips, or I tried to I did a phone repair company where I would buy phones that were like broken. I would fix the screens, and then I would ship them out and send other people. So I just kind of I was always doing something like that where I was buying something, selling it, and just trying to make a profit. And painting just seemed to be a little bit more profitable.
Hearing that he just turned 20 years old, right? And literally is running a 7-figure business where most people in their life could never even imagine that. So like when you hear that story, what do you take away from that too, Aiden? Like hearing that, like from a young guy like that?
What's your take? I think like most people will never even achieve that, right? Let's be real. At 20 100%. Years old, right? And I think what happens is, like, I was even thinking when he was talking, to not even have kind of the perspective of even doing anything else, right? Because, like, us, we've went through different jobs and different industries, and for him to only know painting, basically, I mean, before 16, you don't even get the chance to really get into something as deep as you need to. So I think that's interesting in itself, right? Because he's all in and doesn't know anything else. So 100%. When you have the mentality mixed with the entrepreneurship flame, it's kind of like, dude, the sky is the limit. And, there's a lot of successful people out there that say, hey, pick one thing and be the best in the world at it. And that's kind of what he's going for, in his, exactly. I mean, just from what we've, talked to him and learned from him by working with him, it's like, you can tell that he's just looking to get better. He's in every single coaching call. He's at every, event, and he's just there, present, and just absorbing, bro. And he's taking action as well. So that's 100%. All the things you need to be successful in life, and he's doing it.
I love that because, like, what a lot of people don't realize too, right? And this is something cool, Ryan, is that you're getting ahead of it based off of the people that have experienced life and experienced certain things. Now, I do want to highlight this, right? So a lot of people always talk about age, like, well, so-and-so is young enough. They haven't been in the game long enough to see these things. Yeah. That's why you have mentors. The mentors are the ones telling you, hey, don't go down this road, follow this road, and you'll be just fine. Continue doing what you're doing and then keep growing. So, what I love about you, Ryan, is that you don't sit there and use age as a disadvantage, which most younger people would do. You're actually seeing it as an advantage, right? Like, I've learned some tech stuff from you, and I'm like, God, I didn't even know I could do that, right?
Yeah, and automations and AI.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go, dude. Like, I'm going to be 40 here in the next couple weeks, and I'm just like, gosh, how beautiful is that to be a part of a community where we have a younger generation that's starting to change the game. And the reason why I say that is a lot of people don't understand is that, like, the contracting space, like you just said earlier, you said, hey, I didn't realize that I was getting thanks to do my job. I didn't realize there was a gap in this industry. It couldn't be any easier, guys. Understand that is that as contractors now, as long as you're great at customer service and great at taking care of your people, great at taking care of your painters too, right? It's you can literally dominate your space by doing the right thing. Isn't that wild? So that's Ryan, wild. Tell us a little bit about, like, when you first started, what were certain pains for you? And did you feel like giving up? The reason why I ask is because every entrepreneur at some point goes, oh my God, like, this is tough. Like, tell us what that portion of your business when you first started, what that looked like, where you were mentally, and where you are now from when you first started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I do want to touch base a little bit on what you were saying about mentorship. Is that, I'm younger and I'm still learning. I have a mentor, multiple mentors that teach me everything. But I would say, just for the people that are listening, it doesn't matter if you have a mentor. It doesn't matter if you have someone backing you. It doesn't matter if you're doing it all by yourself. It matters if you take action. If you listen to what they're doing and what they say and you take action on it, then you can be successful. If you go to the PCA, if you go to these coaching calls and you just sit there and listen and you don't take action, you won't go anywhere. So I wanted to reiterate that a little bit on what you were saying, that it there's multiple steps to it. But going back to your specific question, pain points for me were I just didn't have enough time. And I was still in high school. So I was in, I want to say 10th, 11th grade. So I was.
You hear that? Still in high school, guys. Hear that?
Yeah. So I was in high school, and some of the jobs were an hour away. So I am super, super grateful that my dad was, and my mom and my dad. My mom wanted me in school more. My dad, I swear, every single day he would get on the phone with the office at school and say that Ryan has an appointment. Every day I was leaving because I had an appointment that I had to go to, but really I was just going to work. Yeah, and then what was super useful, shout out to Dad, yeah. What was super useful is COVID. COVID hit, and all of a sudden we were at home. School was at home. No one was going to school. A lot of people, a lot of kids my age, they were going out, they were partying, they were playing Xbox, PS4, they were hanging out with each other when COVID was going on. And I said, why am I going to go hang out with them when I can go to work and I can go make more money? So, you know, it's everyone knows, anyone that's listened to this podcast knows that you make sacrifices to get to where you are today, whether that's your friends, it's your family, whatever it is. And I think I definitely miss like the high school experience, kind of hanging out with friends and going to parties, but I'm so grateful from where I am. But the biggest thing was just time. I didn't have enough time. And then COVID hit, we were all online, and I was working from about like 7, 8 o'clock till probably 4 o'clock in the day. Then I was working on homework from like 4:30 to 9 o'clock at night. And you know, I remember some projects where no one was home. I was there at 5 a.m. I was there from 5 to 8 o'clock. Then I went to school from like, I don't know, like 8 to 3. And then I was at working from 3:30 to 6:30. Then I was doing homework from 7 to 10 at night. And that was just rinse and repeat when I was going to school full time. So it was kind of like this cycle that I don't have enough time, but I made the time. I made the time to do it. So Zach, I think that's kind of what you're asking there.
Well, absolutely. Like, think about it. It's something that Aiden and I talk about a lot, right? It's that sacrifice part of it. Like, a lot of people, here's the thing, right? We talk about in coaching, in the beginning, you're going to have to work harder. It's just reality, right? Because you have to develop, like a muscle, a skill. When you develop your skill, whether that's time management, whether that's coaching, leadership, whether that's painting, whatever it is, you have to overwork. Like, I've never not overworked to achieve something. I've never in my whole life. So, you know, and the reason why I say this, because like, if you guys hear those terms like talent, right? Like, talent always wins, and is what they say. I don't believe in that. Skill will always outwork talent at all times when you start to develop a certain skill, because sometimes people live off talent and then they're not putting in the work, and that's when they fall back, right? Yep. So what you're saying is the sacrificing, right? So going back to that, in our world, we go, what are you willing to do? Like, whatever it takes. You can't really teach that. You either got that or you don't. And like you said, listen to these calls, these podcasts. You're gathering in today's age right now. Guys, understand something. You have data around you, all around you, that you literally can take someone's one idea, take full action, and see success for free. It's like wild to me.
Insane.
Right? So, you know, I'm going to ask Aiden too. And I know we're inviting you, Ryan, but like, I know Aiden's got some solid questions to throw you off a little bit, right? So Aiden, when you hear sacrificing, you're hearing that too with Ryan. Like, let's go backwards for you too. How did you feel at the age of 20, or what were you feeling at that time? Right? Like, think about what that looks like. all of our 20s are different on this call, by the way, because when I was 20, I had to move across the coast. I went from East Coast to West Coast to start a gym industry and do pre-sales at 20 years old. So I had to remove myself from an environment. Where were you, Aiden, at 20?
Yeah. You know, when Ryan talked about like, hey, when everybody was kind of partying and hanging out, like he was working, that was kind of me, right? My high school, my college years were kind of, you know, like I couldn't afford to go and join the basketball team like I wanted to, right? It was like I needed to work. I had to work 2 jobs. I worked 2 jobs in a mall. That's kind of the time around where I kind of met my wife. And I think what happens is you realize that there's not much time available that you can waste when you're trying to be that next level, right, of entrepreneurship, of success, or trying to get somewhere. And you know that if you put in the work and kind of, even if you don't have a clear direction, you will at least get to where generally you want to be, right, if you continue to try. And some people have it better than others, where they have, you know, some people in their family that can rely on and help them out. But for me, I didn't have that, right? So it was like, hey, I got to get it, right? I didn't have my dad growing up like that. There was a certain point where I had to step up in the household. So, you know, I went through some stuff that kind of shaped my character today. And I feel like everybody has something in their life that the people that really are successful and that are crazy about it and are bought in, and you can tell there's something off about them, they had stuff like that happen to them, right?
Yep.
Where they were forced to respond and take action and stuff. So that's kind of how my 16 to 20 was, right? I had to like figure it out. But I think like going to what Ryan said about like, I wanted to make more money or whatnot. The cool thing is, first off, you wouldn't even know his age if we didn't ask, right? So you would just think he's an older guy because the way he conducts himself. But like when he's talking about, I need to make more money, when we talk about price and sales and all that kind of stuff kind of on our own calls, he talks about bringing value. And you don't hear that in younger guys. Like younger guys don't think about that. They just want the paycheck. They just want to get more money or promotion, whatever the case may be. He says we build so much value with the client that they want to go with us no matter what the price is. So I want to learn a little bit more about that, Ryan. First of all, how do you have the perspective to even have that approach? And secondly, what is your kind of method of building value with the clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just finding that perspective, I think that all comes down to listening. And it also comes down to taking action. So when you join coaching calls, when you listen to these podcasts, are you listening to what they're saying, or do you have the headset on and you're in the gym and you're just kind of, it's in the background? Are you taking notes down? That sort of thing. So if you're actually listening, and I just learned a lot. I kind of had to give Tanner Mullen credit for the building value portion, because he always slams me everything I say, and in a good way. That's just his personality. But I think the way of building value, I remember this must have been probably 8 months ago or something. But I remember on a Zoom call with him in a coaching call, I'm pulled over on the side of the road. I'm totally listening. I'm dialed in. And he says, this is an example of how to build value. So you're walking around, you're doing an exterior estimate. And, you go through everything, you give them the price, and they say, the price is too high. Well, you haven't built enough value. And he says, you notice things that are wrong with the house or things that need to be improved, and you find some way to take care of it. And then you tell them you're going to include that for free.
What do you think, Aiden, when you think about what he's saying there too on the value side? Like,
I love it.
I love that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, like you said, want to get into business just for the money, and people can see that, right? Like, I always say, like, people buy from people they trust and they believe in, right? So when he's talking about value, how does that connect with you too? Because obviously you have a painting company as well. Like, how does that help you guys in your market as well?
Yeah, I think, obviously the sale starts before the sale, right? You want to build that clout with them even before. And that's something we invested in here in the last month or two, of getting that high-end quality content. Because what happens is if you're pitching a premium product, but your ads and your, marketing is kind of low budget, low quality, people aren't going to see the consistency through. So when they see, wow, quality, work of what it looks like from the videos, quality ads and professional, high end, must cost a lot of money, that kind of thing. And then they see me kind of that professional, like, hey, we're going to take care of you. Here's what we're offering on top of just the work. Then it's like when I come in, they are already expecting a little bit higher of a price, right? So, and if we need to, we kind of go ahead and say, okay, if there's a win-win on the sale, right? Let's just say maybe the price isn't what they want it to be. All right, well, if you do this for us, we can do this for you, right? You never want to just randomly say, oh, 300, 500, 10% off, whatever it is. It's like, all right, well, we're really trying to book up the third week of November. If you're willing to hop on the schedule, we can knock $300 off. Does that sound fair to you? And if you approach it like that, in that casual way, where you're not trying to be a sleazy salesman or just pull up discounts out of the thin air, you kind of say, hey, help us out, and we'll do the same by bringing the value to you. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I love what you said, because this is actually something I always do. Like, I always tell people too, if it's a price objection, right? Like, notice how you said, if I will you. That's actually like a framework I use a lot, because it's getting a commitment before giving your commitment to them.
100%.
Because like you said, a sales guy can just quickly be like, oh, here's $500 off, and boom, boom, boom. And what you're saying is, hey, you build enough value, but you're also willing to meet in the middle. So if I will you, right? The if I action, will you move forward?
Exactly.
And that being said, that's a great way of keeping that value still of your price still, but also helping them, saying, hey, I have this gap. What is that? That's value, right? Because you're building trust. Hey, I'm just going to be honest with you. I have this gap in my schedule in December. If I can help you out with this discount today, will you move forward? That's exactly what you do right there, right? And then boom, there's a trust factor, saying, hey, I'm being honest with you. I have a gap. This is why I'm willing to drop the price, because of the gap. You're helping me help you. So it's a win-win situation, like you said. So I love the fact that you mentioned that, because a lot of guys just go right for the price. And then
yeah, exactly. You really want to battle it as best you can before you even entertain discounts,
100%. But I agree with you, Aiden, based off what you're saying on being in the industry with these Titans, dude. Like that's a lot of value right here we can hear about too, and what kind of overcoming objections on that, right? Like brand longevity, right? And just the processes and systems. I mean, obviously their systems and processes are so tight. Yeah. How is he competing with that, right? What is he doing differently, or is he working with it? And then, like, what's the say, right? And I say this because there's certain companies that'll use, oh, I'm privately owned, or I'm a small business. They use that kind of pitch at the end to try to help people go, okay, I want to work with someone smaller and work with someone that's up and coming, because I want to support the community and I want to support their business.
So Ryan, tell us about, like, when you are going against some of the biggest people in the area and that have the most dialed in systems, right? And that these guys are, they have their stuff together. When they're going in, I mean, I've heard things that specifically Paris Painting and Nick Slavic, they're going in and analyzing the exact ideal client. Like, they're doing stuff that's super high level, and then you're coming in and you've made your own kind of mark in the territory and are winning jobs over them. So tell us a little bit about that, what that's like, and maybe some stories on things that have happened with you and you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what happens now is when people want the highest quality, they go to us, they go to Nick, and they go to Jason's company. And I've seen that where, we just did a cabinet estimate a couple weeks ago. Client said, "Hey, you're the third estimate. You guys are, you're the last one. I'm going to decide from here." And I said, "Oh, who else did you have out here?" And he goes, "Oh, we had Nick Slavic and Paris Painting out." And I said, "Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. How did that go?" Like, very informative, kind of knew what was going on. And I have a couple things that I do that I know their processes, and I'm able to build more value. I won't go into a ton of detail with it, but I can definitely share a little bit about it. I think it all stems from, just to kind of break it down, it stems from knowing your customer the most and knowing what they want to hear. So, do you have a customer that's super detail oriented? From the minute you get to the door, are they checking you out? Are they wanting to know every single detail? Are they kind of, this is just a painting project, this is all I want? I think for me, it's really building the value. And also, it's that I'm younger and I'm the owner of the company. I'm still doing the sales. And they like to see that. They see that I'm out there hustling. I'm trying to get it. I'm still giving them the same quality, if not higher quality, than what they would be getting with these other people. We're getting more communication. We care about our customers more. And it's one thing to say that, but then it's another thing to show it and actually show up to there. So just to give you like a quick example, in this cabinet project that did an estimate on, he said, got an estimate from Jason and Nick. And I said, "Well, I want to go over one thing with you with the cabinets. I'm sure they already kind of went over this with you, but kind of the process of how we do these cabinets, right? I want you to visualize what it's going to look like." And I start going through the details on what we do. And I'm like, "I know you probably already heard that, right?" And they go, "No, they didn't really go through all that stuff." And I say, "Oh, that's interesting, because you need to know what's going on to make sure it's durable." And they're like, "Oh, well, they just kind of said Nick's going to bring him to the shop and he's going to spray him. Paris, they're going to do it in the garage." And for us, it's like any good salesperson can go after one or the other. So you're going to bring them to the shop. Okay, well, now you're going to have dings when it's in the van. You're going to have, scuffs that you won't be able to see until you get them up there. But then on the other hand, you can argue, hey, it's a controlled environment. We have LED lights that are level. You're going to see every single spec. But it's just being a good salesperson and knowing your customer. And then also, I've done a lot of estimates back and forth with them, so I know their approach. I know what they say. I know what they do, and I study them. And you study your people. You study your other people in your area, and just find their approach and attack it.
Oh man, he
Man
hit him
is
with I
fierce.
studied them, dude. Boom,
Dude,
there's the bomb
that's
drop
like
right there.
that's like the Bet David book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. You know,
Yep.
he's identifying in the market who are the big dogs, and he's saying, "I'm coming for you. I'm doing
Yeah.
whatever it
Hey,
takes to
but
take
don't
over."
get me wrong, they're great guys. I love them
Yeah,
both. They
no,
have
for
great
sure.
company.
Shout out,
Yeah.
100%. They're
Yeah.
doing great things. You know,
They
we
are.
support them, of course.
Yeah.
But Ryan's just coming for them. He's a beast. You know.
I am. But they are great
You
people. I
have
don't
to. You
want to. I
need
don't want to
that.
bring them down at all.
Nah, for sure.
Nah, absolutely.
And you
They're
need healthy
setting the tone.
competition, honestly. You need healthy
100%.
competition. You know, they're
Yeah.
doing other things as well that are like even bigger than the painting business. So it's like
Yep.
They
you
are.
got to give credit and hats off. That's
100%.
interesting, though. You know,
I
it's
love
crazy.
that,
As
though.
you were saying that, dude, me and Joel are in kind of similar spots, right? Because right now you have some bigger coaches in the industry and they're doing like a group approach, right? Where it's like they're kind of out of the business at this point. They got their systems in place and whatnot. And me and Joel are in the weeds, grinding one-on-one with these people, kind of like you, right? Being the owner, kind of making sure that everything is, and that's kind of how we're getting a lot of our clients as well. So it is interesting. There's a little bit of parallel there, you know?
Yeah. I love that you
Absolutely.
mentioned that too, because it's I was just coaching someone yesterday and they mentioned that. They're like, hey, you know, you're always honest about what's going on. Because like these guys, not to go off subject, but it's important for people to understand, like people are saying things on their wins, but they're not showing their losses.
Yep.
And in a coaching, I'm real. I'm like, hey, I just had a fire last week I had to handle. Hey, you see me in my truck right now because I'm heading to an urgent issue right now. So, you know, we're still in the trenches, right? And making sure that we're still doing what we're doing. Not that I'm saying that it takes away from any coaches that aren't in the trenches, but it's important. Like he said, study, right? Well, Aiden and I are constantly studying our clients. And then we're also probably moving. I know I'm speaking for myself on this, but I'm sure Aiden's doing the same. We're tactically moving our business based off the new information we're receiving as well. Yeah. And if you continue growing and you continue to keep an open mind, you will always continue that nice growth in a healthy way, right? And speaking to that, right? Because I remember when I first met you, Ryan, you were doing what, like 13 grand a month?
120K a year.
120K a year, right? And now like you're doing $25,000-$30,000 in sales per week. Yeah.
I think our biggest month was like 140, 130, something like that.
So think about that. Look at that. 20 years old. Like again, what Aiden and I were saying earlier today, most people would never imagine hitting that ever. Right. And so what do you feel that would be? What was a big shift for you? Was it mindset? Was it like SOPs? Like what was the biggest shift for you to be like, okay, I need to move this needle and I'm able to do this now? What did that look like for you?
This is going to sound like, so honestly, to be completely honest, it was Nick Slavic. And he's my biggest competition. He's in the area. He fires me up to go more, and he's my competition. I would say this time last year, he brought me down to his shop, and he said, I like what you're doing. I wanted to meet with him. I had no idea who he was. I didn't know he was the PCA chair. I didn't know any of this stuff. I thought, hey, here's friendly competition. It's Nick. I see his name. I'm going to go reach out to him. And he showed me some systems they got, some automations they have. And I said, this is painting. Like, this is a real business. You can have a company doing this. Yeah. I thought, I was always chucking a truck, this is showing up. We're going to paint something. And he showed me you can start a business behind it, which I thought was really cool. And then in 2024, beginning of this year, I remember meeting with Sam from Forward Media. And he said, so what's your goal this year? And I'm like, rocket ship, dude, explode. That's just, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to do something. And he kind of was like, okay, well, let's take it down a notch. Let's break it down and kind of figure out your goals. Right. And it's just kind of meeting with Nick, knowing that we can explode in the industry, talking a little bit with Spencer Hayward. Spencer really pushed me to join Forward Media, to set up systems and processes and AI. And then from there, it was like, okay, now we're set up with Forward Media Marketing. We got a great Facebook team, and our leads are coming in like crazy. How do we sustain this growth to where we don't blow up and have a company that was super good quality and all of a sudden isn't good quality? So that's where I was like, that's where, Joel, we hooked on together.
Yep.
And you were like, okay, this is great. You're doing great things, but we need to start figuring out some structure. Like, if you want to have an actual company, you need to have some structure behind it. So we started putting spreadsheets in place and starting to figure things out. But it really all stems back to it literally stems back to Nick just showing me that, hey, you can build a company out of this, and you can do anything that you want to do if you have the drive and you want to build it yourself.
What kind of perspective did that give you, looking at Nick's business and how it was all set up, looking at Joel and coming in and him saying, hey, there's got to be some stuff revamped here and implement it. What kind of perspective did that give you, and what did that make you think about the future and the potential that could come, right? Because some people have that limiting belief of, oh, well, there's only so much work out there, I can't do it myself, or whatever the case may be. There's always some type of doubt. But when you see it done by these high level business guys that have all of it figured out as far as the systems, the back end, and ways to grow a business super quick, what did that look like, and how did that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, mentally, there was definitely there still is a little bit of the limiting belief that hey, this space is crowded. Especially when we move to the west side, where you have Nick's fighting for territory, you have Paris Paintings fighting for territory, you have some of these other big dogs fighting for territory, because all these homes on the west side, they're the most expensive home, they're the highest job sizes, and the least amount of estimates. Every single painting company is going to be fighting for that area. So there is still a little bit, you can hear in my voice, I'm already, it's already a limiting belief. So I'm definitely trying to kick that one. But I think just, mentally wise, hey, I can do this if I'm willing to put in the work. And just knowing, Nick always says, there's enough work to go around. There's plenty of work out there. Everyone is saying that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And just having the right people in your corner that's going to coach you, help you, and growing from there is just mentally, you have to be there. You have to show up every day. And you can't, if you take a break, you need a break for your mental health. But then when you get back, you need to crush it and just really stay dialed in.
I like to add to what you just said, brother. So, I was newer in the industry 6 years ago, right? We're here in San Diego. Here's the thing about the limiting beliefs, right? My mentor has multiple painting companies in multiple states, and he's been in businesses for over 20 plus years, right? So he's in his early 50s right now. And when I first moved out here, I was in the same boat. I was like, we got King of Painters and Brad Stoner. They're two largest painting companies here in San Diego County, where they've been here since the 80s.
Wow.
Ready for this? The 80s. And my partner / mentor was like, we're going to crush them. And not in a bad way, but he's just super competitive. He's like, we're going to outbrand them. We're going to make a mark here. Okay. So keep in mind, Nick's already paved the way. Jason already paved the way, right? We all are paving the way for newcomers and new guys, right? Because at some point, we're going to start scaling back and getting rid of our companies and handing them over to people in our organization or selling them to the next best guy, right? But here's the cool part. In the 6 years we've been here, we're rated the #1 residential painting company here in San Diego County, right? Because we're aggressive and we truly stand behind our work. End of story. Right? I don't even look with respect, if Brad and King of Painters are listening, I don't even pay attention to them. I pay attention to my internal goals and my goals for my employees. So that's what we pay attention to. And we're just saying we need to make a mark in the painting industry. We have to make sure we're the best. End of story. Right? And that's the cool part. You have that in you. Right? And there's plenty, dude, there's so many painters everywhere.
Yeah.
That is not a false statement. There's plenty of space for all of us. There's always the right person for the right job. It may not even be us, even though I believe that I'm always the right guy for the right job, right? But the reality is there's just certain things that people are looking for in another company, right? And that may not be us. That's okay, right? And that's where when you're able to have that open mind like that, it's what will keep you successful. You have to keep that drive. And a lot of what people do is there's a lid in their leadership mindset, right? Your team's only going to go as high as you can take them mentally.
Law of the lid.
Right? The law of the lid, John C. Maxwell. So when you get rid of that lid, the opportunities are it's endless, right? And you got to remember, 50 other companies can be in your market, and it's okay, right? Yeah. What are you going to continue doing best, and what's going to keep separating you from anybody else? And I mean, I'm sure Aiden feels the same way. You're in an area that's got a lot of painters too, but that didn't stop Aiden, did it? He's like, let's go.
No, for me, honestly, I've always been on the belief that as long as I do my best and focus on me, right? Obviously, there's always going to be other competition in any space. Like, no matter where you go into, if you can be the best you be and show up every day and have people that are going to be willing to jump on board and follow your vision, I mean, I think you're gonna make a dent, right? And Ryan can speak to this, right? Like, you have these titans in the area, and young, you feel like there's only so much availability in certain areas, right? And it's like there's still room for you, and there's still room. And once you get in, you start to realize there's a lot of room. I can continue to roll this thing.
Yeah.
So like, I want to get some kind of feedback, right? Like the people that are listening that are maybe a little younger in their painting career that may have not seen the daylight yet or trying to get up. Like, what would you say to them, and kind of what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because there's so many aspects of the business that, need to run smoothly. I think the biggest thing that you can ever do is work on yourself. You go to the gym in the morning, make sure you're mentally happy. And once you do that, I guarantee you that there will be so many things around you that come back that, it's helpful. But to kind of give you like actionable takeaways, I would say join coaching groups, whether it's Aiden, whether it's Joel, whether it's, somewhere that you feel comfortable with and you can listen to them, and then take action. I mean, I've said that since I first started on this road at the beginning of the year. Like, everything I hear, I'm going to take action on. And some of it, maybe it works for you, and it's amazing. Like, a lot of things worked for me, but there were things that I took action on and it didn't work out. I mean, I tried to do different things and it didn't work out for me. But when you take action and you listen to these people that already made the mistakes and you do what they're telling you to do, why would you question it if they've already done it? There's no reason to sit there and ask yourself, hey, does this work? You have people that are doing $1, 2, 3, $4 million a year in sales telling you that it works. Why are you questioning it? So I think just take action, listen to those guys, and ask for help. No one can do this alone. So get in a group, get in a community, and let people help you.
Man. Yep. And I also have a second part to this question. What does the future look like for Pettis Painting, and how do you feel like you're going to get there?
Future, I think right now, next year, I want to do 1.5 and just build structure. So, we went from 120K a year to $1 million a year, and we had no job, no job descriptions, no, SOPs. We had nothing. And right now we're kind of like, okay, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? And I'm super grateful. I have a phenomenal leadership team that takes on tons of roles that maybe even aren't a part of their original, role. And I think building out the structure, so your role is X, Y, and Z. If you get, if something happens, you want to leave, okay, the next person can come in and they can look at this sheet and they know immediately what to do, how to implement, and they're in the business running super easy. So we need to build that out in case, and then also build out the roles. The next part of that is once we have that structure, which I think will take kind of a year, to really everyone gets dialed in. They know their positions. They know what they're supposed to do. They know their maximums. They know, what it looks like to work inside Pettis Painting. And I think if we can get that next year and do 1.5, I'd be grateful. And then from there, I want to do kind of in the 2 range the year after, and then the year after that, go to 3, and have another salesperson, have another project manager, office admin. And from that, I mean, by the time I'm that age, I'll probably be looking at maybe having a family, something like that, and kind of reevaluate. But I definitely want to get to 3, and I want to keep that sustainable, and have that growth where we can have the income, and not even having the income, but just impacting more clients that are getting a high value service, not just getting ripped off, because that's the biggest thing. We all need money to survive, but we also want to impact more clients where they're actually getting a high quality service for a fair price. They're not getting ripped off.
Yeah.
That's his success right there. Making sure we add more value to our clients, right? without our clients, we have no business.
Yeah.
Quite simple. Without our painters, we have no business. So way to call your shot. We're looking forward to that. You know, Aiden and I are going to go back to this timestamp and look back and be like, man, he said 3 in 3 years and look at him now. Right. So it's really exciting for you, man. And, you know, it's such an honor to be a part of your path. Right. And you're always seeking knowledge and you're always pushing, which here's the cool part, guys. If you're as a leadership role or if someone's asking you questions, don't like gatekeep, right? Because like here's the craziest part. Every time I talk to Ryan, I learn something new.
Yeah.
He opens my perspective up and I think differently, I move differently. And it's such an honor to have someone that picks your brain to force you to now become a better person too, right? So, you know, a lot of people don't see that when you're teaching, you're also learning within your teachings. And that's what I love about you and admire about you as you're growing and you're setting this tone and you're getting the right people, you're teaching, you're also going to be shifting and learning within that growth. So that's important, right? So man, congratulations to your success so far and what your continued success will be. We're completely honored to have you in our circle, man. We're super excited.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, like I said too, it really comes down to who is inside your circle. Are you taking action? Are you implementing? And you guys are crushers. I mean, you're adding so much value to everyone else. You talk about adding value in sales, but look at how you guys add value in coaching. I mean, you guys add a ton of value. You're super helpful. And if you find the right people, you know, for the painters out there, the people, you find the right people, you get in with the right group, and you listen and you take action, you will succeed. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
It's huge. And I want to touch on what you just explained, right? You went from doing 130K a year to doing 1 million. That is exponential, ridiculous growth, right? You didn't say, oh, I want to do 3 to 5 million the next year, right? You're very calculated. You said, hey, I'm gonna make sure I have a solid foundation and we can sustain this, and then I'm gonna move forward. And we're just gonna tack on and we're gonna continue. And it's gonna be a nice upwards trajectory, nothing crazy. But I think you're not going gung-ho and you're getting it right. So many people are like, I need a sales rep this next month because I just hit 100K and I need to get a production manager. Aiden, can you help me with this? And I'm like, let's cool it down. You had a really good month. Let's get everything very, let's have the dust settle and see where you're really at. And then let's learn from what you did. Let's make the systems right, bring the right people on. And I promise you, you won't for the next month maybe hit that mark, but for the next year, your growth will be a steady line up. So I think that's what you're, showing people, that you don't have to conquer the world. You can do it one step at a time, and I think that just shows to your maturity, just like I was saying.
Thank you. And I think that goes back to kind of what I've learned from Joel too, is you don't hire for the company you're in, you hire for the company that you want. And, I've heard that from a couple other people as well. But when you think about, I want to be at 1.5 next year. Maybe I wasn't quite ready for a production manager when I hired him this year, but I hired him because I wanted to be where I wanted to be, and I knew I needed him, and I knew I needed him trained in and ready to go next year. So if you can take that hit and you can hire for the business that you want, I mean, go for it, because they're going to be trained in, they're going to implement more. You think you're losing money because you have to pay them more right now, but I guarantee you will gain so much more impact if you hire them when you're maybe not quite ready for it, but you need it down the road.
Yeah,
100%.
That guy's going to help you get to your goal, and then you're going to be like, I got to pay him more.
Yeah, exactly. No,
you're not getting enough, bro.
Joe is awesome. Joel knows he's a crusher.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He came in, and that's imperative, right, guys? As you understand, as you're growing, find the right people. When you find the right people, they're working with you, they're pushing with you. Their vision allows you to operate with your vision, and it really brings it in. If you have the wrong people in the wrong places, you're going to struggle. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to make decisions based off of a necessity versus a want, right? And like Ryan said, I want to be here. In order to do that, I need to sacrifice a little bit of income, a little bit of time for a long-term gain. A lot of business owners aren't willing to do that. They hold on to everything with dear life, and they're not prepping the future. So, I love that you said that, because I made the same decisions, right? Like, when I first brought a production, you guys wouldn't hear me today if I didn't bring my production manager the time that I did, because I'd still be running production right now as we speak. I had to pull that trigger in order to grow it and in order to do the other things that I do. Right. So it's like, when's the right time? The time is now, always. Like, hey, let's get it done. Let's make that decision.
There's never going to be a right time to hire that position, you know? Almost never have I heard, oh, I got you at the perfect time. Everything's going great. It's almost like, look, you will be great. You will make the company money. You will be in the position you want to be. Let's just get there. Let's get you on board and we'll figure it out. That's kind of usually how it goes.
100%.
But I have one last thing for Ryan. So we talked about your age, about, you know, being so young, having so much success. How do you get people to jump on board that are probably double your age, and how do you get to lead them and have them buy into what you have going on?
Man, that's a great question. That's a phenomenal question because I get asked that quite a bit. You know, how do we employ people that are 30, 35 years old? I mean, 45, some of them. Like, how do we get these people to look at me and trust me, and think that I know what I'm doing more than what they do? And I think this has really come down to Joel, and I think Joel has really helped me with that. That people are not just numbers inside your company. That you need to actually care about them. So we start off like every single meeting. Hey, how are you? What's going on? You know, what's working well. Always start off with a positive, and then be there for them. If you notice that they're off one day, hey, what's going on? Like, I notice you're not quite yourself. You know, tell me about what's going on. What's going on at home? You know, that sort of thing. And this really comes back to listening in on, you know, some coaching calls as well. Like I've heard, you know, Joel talks about when he was working in the gym industry, you know, he puts his hand on the car or the tree before you walk into the gym, and then you're dialed in, you're there, you need to focus, you need to be there 100%. And I've used that analogy several times for painters or my foremans that come in and they're like, man, I got, you know, my wife's at home. She's mad at me. We're splitting up and I need to go find my own house. I need to go find my own vehicle and I don't know what to do. And then our quality goes down and I say, hey, take a breath. Take a breath. It's not like your problems are going to go away. But when you show up to the job site, put your hand on your car, that your problems stay there. Go into the job site, do a good job, come out, and you can sit in the car. You can worry about those problems then, right? Because they're never going to go away till you fix everything. But when you're working, you need to put your stuff aside. And I think being able to do that to keep your quality high, but then the also other portion of that is follow up. So at the end of the day, hey, you know, I know you're kind of going through a couple things. Why don't you talk to me about it? How do you feel? You know, let's take the gloves off for a second. We're just equal parts. Tell me about what's going on. And you can just hear them. They go, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. And that's the biggest thing is being there for your people, listening to them, you know, knowing what they need. And, you know, I had my production manager, I asked him the other day, I said, hey, I'm younger. You know, I'm younger. You've worked for several, you know, you've had several jobs. He's about 33, 35. And, you know, you've done sales in the past. What can I do better? Because you know more, you know more about, you know, bosses and managers. What can I do better for you? He looked me dead in the eye and he said, I've had several managers, I've had several bosses throughout many years, and you're the best one that I've ever had. And I'm like, why? Like, why am I better than those people? I don't have the experience that they have. I haven't gone to the trainings. I haven't done the, you know, any of that stuff. And he looked at me and said, you care and you listen. If you guys can care and listen to your people when they need you and when they don't need you, if you're still focusing on them, if you're still listening to them, they're going to take care of you. You need people. I mean, Lucas talks about this and Sam talks about this from Forward Media. You need people that are going to take a bullet for you. If something goes down, like Sam was out here at the PCA Minneapolis the other day, and he said, if Forward Media went down, I would stay with Lucas to build up another company. I don't care what it was. I want to be with Lucas. If you can get a team that's like that, that it doesn't matter what you're building, if the whole thing crashes and they stay with you to rebuild, that's valuable.
We should have started off the podcast with that shit, bro.
Right? Just with boom.
Damn, bro.
Gotta end
That was
strong.
awesome, dude. That was awesome.
That
dude.
was great. Wow.
Damn. It's also true, bro.
We're all like, okay.
It's also true, bro. Strong. You hiring, bro?
We are a salesperson, if you know anyone.
Awesome. That's funny. That's awesome. Hey, guys, if you want to hang out with us, we're going to be at PaintCon on November 22nd. And speaking of Lucas and his team, he's going to be hosting it. It is where the painting contractors need to be if you want to grow your business, if you want to hang out and learn from some of the best in the industry, coaches, business owners, people that support the painting industry. Man, it's going to be a ton of knowledge. It's going to be informative, and you're going to be able to go home and take away all the knowledge you learned and implement it into your business, just like Ryan is saying on this podcast here. So November 22nd, go to paintcon.ca. Andy Elliott, the big dog, is going to be there. He's the keynote speaker. Joel's going to be there. Ryan's going to be there. I'm going to be there. And it's going to be a great time, a lot of networking, and we can't wait. San Diego, strap up.
Let's get it.
Got Dad in the back. What's up, bro?
Grandpa.
Oh, Grandpa.
Is that Grandpa?
That's Grandpa.
Yo.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I needed
Joel, you want to end it, brother?
Yeah, so real quick, where can we find you, Ryan? And then I'll end it with a quote, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look our Facebook page. We're changing it right now, just Pettis Painting. Or if anyone wants to reach out for the younger audience, if you're like, I'm kind of struggling, I'm not sure where to go, just text my personal number. It's 612-272-2243. We definitely want to keep this younger industry. We need more younger people. We need more people to succeed and grow, especially as the older people kind of get out of the industry. So definitely want to help in any way I can.
Say that one more time, Ryan, your number.
It's 612-272-2243. My personal line.
Anybody that wants to connect with Ryan, go ahead and shoot him a call, text. He's way open for it.
He just gave you his number. Like, speed to lead, well, speed to success by knowing knowledge and understanding, right? So I'll leave you guys with this to understand something, that as a recap of what he said, out of all the things he was saying, right, guys, understand leaders influence people. He's not a manager. He's not a boss. He's a leader. There's a difference between a boss, a manager, and a leader. Leaders influence people, right? When you understand that, you can be like, there's no way of stopping you, right? So keep influencing people. And then remember this quote. Obviously, I say usually the same 2 to 3 quotes all the time. But if you say you can or can't, either way, you're right. So switch that. Start believing that you can. Go find the people. Guys, this is a free podcast. We're resourceful to you. You got access to Aiden, Paint Pro Coach, right? Like, guys, please find us. We'll be more than happy to help you. Have a great week. Have a great month. Let's see you guys soon.